2024 has been the worst year for street rappers and hip-hop, with Lil Durk being charged with a murder for hire involving an attempt on Quan Rondo's life, which subsequently killed his cousin Lil Pab. Lil Durk's chances of freedom are slim to none. And with other information like OTF allegedly having a snitch in their camp, OTF Jam, and even cell phone records and text messages of Durk saying don't book no flights of people associated with me, it's not looking good, bruv, when it comes to Durk in this federal indictment. Lil Durk and his 5 OTF associates were picked up by the U.S. federal marshals and extradited to California for federal charges involving the conspiracy to commit murder resulting in death. Now recently, the mother of FBG Duck, who was leader of FBG, the guy that King Von had killed, his mother filed a massive lawsuit against Lil Durk's record label and all the entities under it, such as OTF Entertainment, Lil Durk, the state of Davon Bennett, which is, King Von's government in his real name, Universal Music, Alamo Records, Sony, Empire Distribution. And we always heard how Empire Distribution had their own bad narrative about it, how, X, Juice WRLD, all these rappers who, had heavy drugs and how they OD'd and the labels got paid out by it, but that's a whole other situation. The whole thing is that all these major music entities are tied to Lil Durk, and they've made millions of dollars profiting off Von and Durk dissing Duck. And Mama Duck has been very vocal about her the slain rapper and her son FBG Duck, who was killed by the O Block 6 in downtown Chicago.
It has been a long road, but there's finally light at the end of the tunnel. My son deserves better.
If you remember this infamous hood vlog, King Von gave 100K to his homies right there in O Block. Now it's being rumored that this 100K was the money that he put on Duck's head for the murder. Now the prosecution has pushed the narrative that OTF is a criminal enterprise led by Lil Durk, who had Von, Buka 600 as underboss, and Duty Low, Mimo 600, and OTF Icky as the capo calling the shots, involving the foot soldiers who ended up doing the FBG Duck hit.
Page 2 of the lawsuit, it shows this image from an album released back in 2019 by Only the Family, along with Alamo Records, Sony Music, and Interscope Records. Lawyers from Dinazulu Law Group says the chart reinforces the organized nature of the gang.
The lawsuit was bombarded with defendants, so it's clear that Mama Duck was hungry and she was looking for a payout. Mama Duck sued UMG and Interscope. Now for a bit of a backstory, UMG is one of the biggest media music entertainment companies ever, and Interscope is a division of UMG. Now Mama Duck is legend that Durk, Alamo, UMG, OTF, and I guess UMG indirectly because they aren't producing the music, that they released, marketed, distributed and produced and promoted multiple songs such as Should've Duck, where they, dissing FBG Duck, and that him and his OTF artists were profiting a lot of money from dissing her son and made millions of dollars. Now Duck's death was, slandered over social media. You could see members of OTF wearing pieces of Duck on their shoe with a slap on it, like almost like a cartoon, and they were pretty much mocking the death of Duck in any chance they got. Although Lil Durk has no direct correlation to the death of FBG Duck, as the story goes on, you'll start to understand why he's being wrapped up in it, especially with Von being killed and him having his own murder for hire indictment, similar to what King Von did on putting the money on Duck's head. The indictment calls Lil Durk the founder, the CEO, and the boss of OTF, an affiliated member of the O Block Street Gang and a criminal enterprise, and also an associated member of the Black Disciple Street Gang, whose members and associates engaged in acts of violence, including heinous acts involving murder, battery and assault and robbery, which operate on the south side of Chicago and Cook County, Illinois. Mama Duck is accusing Lil Durk of disguising OTF as a record label when it's really a street gang and a criminal enterprise. Now the indictment reads, Only the Family Entertainment, aka OTF, is an Illinois corporation and music label that serves as a hub for the O Block criminal enterprise and street gang. OTF is a media outpost for the O Block criminal organization and street gang. Now OTF operated to achieve objectives of the O Block criminal enterprise through the promotion of music and social media influence, with a significant emphasis on content that utilizes and promotes the use of threats, intimidation, violence, including but not limited to murder and other acts of violence. It's very clear that Mama Duck is hopping on the Lil Durk sinking ship, but what's ironic is it might work. Lil Durk has been indicted for the murder for hire of Quan Rondo, and the fact that King Von is technically in this camp and under him, she's trying to say that, hey, King Von killed my son, he had him killed. Lil Durk is just as liable because Lil Durk was the overboss, should I say the crime boss in the situation, and Lil Durk was acting under him because they both hated him and publicly dissed him in their music. Now to be honest, if King Von was alive right now, he'd most likely be in jail for the murder for hire involving FBG Duck, and we know that's a fact. Given that they couldn't connect Durk to the murder, Von was an even more polarizing figure anyways, and he was directly involved. But Von died 3 months after Duck, so you can't persecute a dead man. Now, I'm not sure about Durk, but she definitely had a good chance to get Von, and here's why.
Here's the thing. She has a really good case against Von. Von is listed in federal court, he would have gotten a murder for hire charge, just like Durk. So basically, because Vaughn is referred to throughout that whole federal case, all of those defendants went to prison. She's going to take that lawsuit and she's going to walk into civil court. And usually once you win in federal court or when you win in criminal court, you usually have a claim for damages in civil court, right? She's going to civil court and saying, look, federal court already did the work saying this motherfucker did this to kill my son. I need some damages. And by the way, not only do I need damages because my son died, this guy also directly profited by dissing my son and also having other violent acts in music that was related and contributed to my son dying. So I deserve some of the money. And
the indictment would allege that prior to OTF being incorporated as a music label, it was just really a bunch of Southside gang members who were from Lamron, 600, O Block, THF, and other subsets of the Black Disciple Street gang. Now, OTF would actually be name dropped in the indictment, and here's what they had to say. The OTF music label signed gang members of the O Block, 600, THF, Black Disciples, and other subsets of Black Disciples, and knew or should have known they were engaged in acts of violence and criminal activity, including but not limited to acts involving murder, battery, assault, and robbery. Now, the signing of these gang members as artists is furthering the criminal activity of the gangs, allowing OTF to gain international notoriety and influence through social media platforms. It's increased the profits they could generate from social media platforms such as YouTube and 13 other streaming platforms. OTF attempted to exert control over drill rap music genre in Chicago through the intimidation, threats, and the selling of reality rap in their criminal conduct. Arguments being made is that OTF, King Von, Lil Durk, and even Sony, Alamo, UMG, and Interscope, which is the music and production company associated with the label, utilize social media to torment, taunt, threaten the life, or should I say, of FBG Duck. And for the record, this is a bit disingenuous, and let me say why. Now, FBG Duck was a drill rapper just like King Von and Lil Durk. Now, what I will say is he wasn't as successful as them, so he's probably not making as much money as he would be because he's dead. And we know, listen, a dead rapper earns 10 times more money than a living rapper. But FBG Duck, unfortunately, didn't get to pop like Von. Mama Duck was really grieving the loss of her son, and she's doing pretty much anything to make a dollar. Now, her main grievance, I should say, is these record labels constantly marketed, promoted, and profited off the brand of King Von and O Block. Now, Mama Duck would also make the argument that the label participated in the branding of the O Block enterprise, and pretty much why the entire world is saying, we not from 63rd. This right here is the murder that Lil Durk is indirectly tied into. Now, on August 4th, 2020, Carlton Weekly, aka FBG Duck, a musical artist and a rival musician to OTF and O Block, was out shopping for his son's birthday in the high-end retail area, which is like a fashion district in downtown Chicago on Oak Street. Mama Duck also made the argument that the Dolce & Gabbana security knew about the increase of violence against citizens in the high-end area and made no just to stop that. Now, the reality is, FBG Duck was so hated in Chicago that he would have been killed anywhere. They would have killed that boy in front of the White House. They would have killed that boy in New York City. They would have killed him anywhere. So the location of him being downtown Chicago and like the rich, prestigious area versus like the hood, which is the slums. Listen, if there's a will, there's a way. And when there was a will, they got that way and they killed FBG Duck. The 60-part reads, on or about August 4, 2020, Davon Brinston and Carlton Weekly were lawfully on the premises awaiting entry to the retail and establishment of Dolce & Gabbana. And defendants C. Murder, Kenny Mack, Lowe's, C-Thang, and OTF Muwap, who are the O Block 6, who were, convicted of the murder, all were wearing masks, and all members and affiliates and associates of artists of OTF and O Block carried out the orders of King Von and Lil Durk to kill FBG Duck. The lawsuit would report that they knowingly used, carried, and brandished and discharged multiple firearms approximately 32 times at Carlton Weekly, killing him, and in the process shooting Davon Brinston and Kashay Williams several times with multiple rounds of ammunition, causing severe life-threatening and permanent injuries. What Mama Duck did, which was very interesting, so last month she sued Durk and Von's estate and a bunch of other things that are listed in the indictment. However, after the fact that Durk has been charged with murder for hire and there's more, dirt on Durk's name, no pun intended, she went to her law firm and they put out another letter, which may get her some leeway. Now listen to the letter. We have learned that Durk Banks, also known as Lil Durk, has been formally indicted in the connection with the murder for hire plot in the Central District of California. The conduct alleged in this indictment mirrors the pattern of violent activity that we've seen repeatedly from Lil Durk and members of his organization, Only the Family, better known as OTF. This includes the 2019 shooting in Atlanta, the 2020 murder for hire of Carlton Weeks, known as FBG Duck, and the 2020 murder for hire of Tyquan Bowman, which is Quando Rondo. Now this is very interesting because back in 2019, Lil Durk and King Von had a situation in Atlanta where they're both in jail because they shot someone after they got into like a situation, and this was actually dropped after King Von died, and people were saying like Durk put this on Von because Von was dead and like a dead man can't tell a story, etc, etc. What's crazy is they were always trying to still prosecute Durk for this case, but they never really had all the information, all the energy. But once Quando Rondo was shot at in LA and Lil Pab was killed, Atlanta DA magically dropped this case. So it's almost like the feds said, hold on, little bro, we got this shit, like we got this. And they dropped the case, so the state case in state of Georgia where the shooting happened, that got dropped automatically. And then shit, man, 2 years later, when the feds did the sweep, they come with everything, and we're just seeing it here in 4K. The indictment's revelation underscored a troubling and long-standing pattern. Despite repeated warnings and numerous violent incidents, record labels Alamo Records, Sony Music and Entertainment Inc., Empire Distribution Inc., and Universal Music Group Recordings, Interscope Records choose to fuel, finance, and develop brands with Lil Durk, OTF, and King Von, undeterred by overwhelming evidence of violent criminal activity. The record labels are here to make money. You rap about violence, it generates money. That is their whole business model. They don't care who dies. It's a business, man. Like, this is just how people make money. I'm not saying it's morally right, and they do have a point, but I feel like this one's a little more personal because like your son's involved, right? Like drill music has been going on for decades. Chicago, New York, London. This happens all the time, right? But obviously it's different when there's like a major rapper, literally one of the biggest street rappers in the game, being tied to it, and then his right-hand man dies, and now he has his own situation because he slid for it. Federal indictment alleges that the credit cards associated with OTF and private jets were used to help coordinate the murder of TB, underscoring the extensive resources funneled through the OTF record label to fuel these violent acts. This highlights a significant failing by the record labels, who have knowingly emboldened and benefited from this conduct, opting to look the other way in favor of profit. What Mama Duck's law firm did right here was a nasty and dirty move, and here's why. What they're basically saying is, hey, these guys killed my son, and it's just been proven, literally less than 7 days ago, that Lil Durk put money on someone else's head, just like how they did with my son. So hey, this just didn't happen to me, this happened to another rapper who they actually tried to kill, but didn't kill, and it's actually proof of Durk saying, listen, yo, don't book nothing with no name associated with me. And allegedly have people like OTF Jam, who allegedly, I don't know if he told or not, but we all seen a picture with the Big Mac, and it's like Big Mac in jail. Man, I don't know how they even got that picture, but it's looking like people who are on his side weren't really on his side. What Mama Duck is really highlighting is the extent that OTF allegedly went to go murder Quando Rondo and say, hey, they use private jets, they rented cars, they bought guns, they met up, they coordinated this whole entire hit just to kill someone else in a whole other state. What do you think they'll do to my son who lives 10 minutes away in the opposite neighborhood? And she, has a good point, and I'll say that. This indictment brings us one step closer to justice for all those affected by the violent actions perpetuated by OTF, Lil Durk, and his co-conspirators. It is time that record labels be held accountable for the role in enabling this conduct by continuously financing and promoting artists, despite being on notice of repeated evidence of criminal activity by individuals signed to the label. We stand resolute in pursuing justice for the victims and holding all responsible parties to account, including those in the music industry who have turbocharged this cycle of violence. Though Block 6 was convicted this year, they're going to set this in January. The OTF 5 crew, it's not looking good for Lil Durk, man. Like, we can say what we want to say. Durk, one of my favorite rappers, I'm pretty sure it's one of you guys. You guys have been watching these videos. Bro, there's allegedly an informant. There's messages because they hacked his iCloud. They literally have a reason of why you want to do it, and they're being, descriptive of they be on my page like Slavano, they trolling me. If you look at the song Rumors with Gucci Mane, he's talking crazy that we be on his ass when we in the A. Now we got the wrong nigga, I want the other one, saying that, I don't care if you kill Lil Paul, no, we still want Quando. And the music hits, but then when you're in a courtroom and they start deciphering it and it's about real life events that actually happened. Because the crazy thing is, unbeknownst to me and a bunch of other hip hop fans, you probably didn't know that OTF had something to do with Quando Rondo getting shot at in LA. But after we made all the connections to the indictment, it's something that we can't unsee. And I don't know what's happening with Lil Durk. Let me know what you guys think is happening with Lil Durk. Mama Duck, unfortunately, does have a compelling case against Durk, or at least Von, given the recent circumstances. And it's just crazy to see how this is going to play out, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Jetta Star. We on to the next.